mining industry has tremendous social and economic benefit. It generates state tax and non-tax revenues as well as a source of employment. On the other hand, its potential to cause problems cannot be overlooked. Social conflict, corruption, and environmental degradation are among the negative impacts of the mining industry. Globally, this phenomenon is also known as the resource curse. It is when a country or a region rich in natural resources is not gaining benefits but instead overwhelmed by problems. This is the case of the mining industry in the province of Compostela Valley, or Comval, an area in Davao, the Philippines. Producing about 50% of the total gold production in the Davao region, the province faces various issues such as river pollution, landscape changes to social conflicts in society that resulted in fatalities. One of the sources of the above problems is asymmetric information, especially in the three major value chains in the mining industry: the decision of extraction, revenue collection, and revenue expenditure. Decision of extraction process has not been running well. In Comval, all mining activities are carried out on ancestral domains of indigenous people. Individual miners, cooperative, or corporation must obtain the consent of indigenous people by free and prior informed consent process, or FPIC. It is where both parties discuss benefits and impacts of mining and later reach a decision regarding the proposed plan of extraction. However, unequal level of knowledge between indigenous groups and miners has been detrimental to the process. Indigenous people haven't been able to weigh benefits and long-term impacts of mining. At the end, indigenous people receive little compensation for impacts of mining they have to endure. On the revenue collection process, information or the lack thereof again becomes the source of the problem. Provincial government questions the amount of the tax paid by mining companies to the central government. At the same time, indigenous people question the amount of royalties paid by mining companies, which should be valued at a minimum of 1% of gross company output. Meanwhile, revenue expenditure process is inhibited by the lack of accountable system of public and community spending, both at the local government and indigenous people levels. Revenue from mining is therefore prone to inefficient spending. It also raises suspicions as well as conflicts. One solution to resolve the above problems is to promote transparency within the three value chains of extraction. Reflecting on the experience of oil and gas transparency implemented by the local government of Blora and Bojonegoro in Cepu Block, East Java, Indonesia, supported by the coalition of Bantay Kita Philippines and Article 33 Indonesia through the USAID IKAT project, the multi-stakeholder forum in Compostela Valley has begun initiating mining accountability mechanism. Some of the important achievements are: first, the completion of technical guidelines for indigenous people to identify the environmental and cultural impact of mining. These guidelines will help indigenous people to properly understand the long-term impacts of mining before they make any decision regarding extraction process. Second, the creation of Provincial Multi-Stakeholder Council for Extractive Industry Transparency and Accountability. The council involves representatives from all parties related to the mining industry, such as the large and small-scale mining companies, provincial government, indigenous people, and NGOs working in Comval. Leading the council are the Governor of Compostela Valley, Arturo Ciui, Deputy of the Board members, and indigenous people. The Transparency Council will provide policy and program recommendations, develop guidelines for the implementation of transparency and accountability, and create FPIC standard reporting template. It will produce reports, among others, are signing of memorandum of agreement, monitoring results of environmental, health, and cultural impacts, company payments, and revenues of the government and indigenous people. The council will also monitor stakeholders' compliance. Third, the issuance of indigenous peoples' budget plan as part of the ancestral domain sustainable development and protection plan. This will ensure that critical sectors such as education, health, and infrastructure will be considered as priority spending. The mechanism of transparency and accountability in COMPAL is recognized at the national level and has become the benchmark for subnational EITI implementation in the Philippines as part of the global mechanism for revenue transparency from extractive industry. Local transparency mechanism initiated in Compostela Valley lends valuable lessons that are necessary to be adopted by other mining-rich regions. Active involvement of communities affected by mining activities is crucial in building transparency and accountability. Equally vital is to build transparency mechanism up from the local level. The central government and local governments should also be mutually supportive in the implementation process of transparency and accountability. Together, let us support transparency within the extractive industry in order to generate maximum benefit for communities.